What is up, guys? It's Matt from Magic the Greatening, and today I'm bringing you Naya Exert. Alright, let me just put this out here before I get into it. This is not going to be a budget deck. It's going to cost you about $120 as of when this video goes up. So keep that in mind. Anyway, we're playing 29 creatures. It's a lot, but, you know, Exert's kind of a creature mechanic. Let's get into the 2-drops. We're not playing any 1-drops. We're going to play 4 copies of Channeler Initiate and 4 copies of Glorybound Initiate. 1 mana ramp. That just turns into a 3-4 once we're done ramping. And the other one just becomes a 4-4 with lifelink. I mean, what else do you want from 2-drops? Obviously, have to play Glorybound Initiate. It's one of the best Exert creatures next to Glorybringer. We'll get to that card, don't worry. And Channeler Initiate is kind of like the best ramp, because once you're done ramping and it's no longer useful, it just turns into a 3-4 body. So, on to the 3-drops. We're going to play 3 copies of Retcrop Spearmaster, 3 copies of Combat Celebrant, and 4 copies of Amonkhet Crasher. Now, Retcrop Spearmaster is just going to be like a 4-power first strike. It's pretty good if they don't have like removal or anything with first strike on their end. Just something with like 4, so like a Heart of Kiran can't just block it and kill it. It's going to have 4/1 and first strike. You're going to be able to smash in for 4. Combat Celebrant, obviously you just untap everything you control and then you get another combat phase. This is kind of an expensive card, but it's well worth playing in this deck. I don't want to play 4, because if you have a whole bunch of them out, you know, I don't want to keep drawing into it late in the game. If we're behind, I don't want to draw it. So Combat Celebrant is just going to be a 3 of. And for 4 of an Amonkhet Crasher, it's just a 3-mana 3/2 haste. And when you exert it, something can't block, which can be really, really good if you're just trying to squeeze in that last bit of damage there. So I wanted to play the full 4 copies of this. On to the 4 and 5 drops. We're going to play 3 copies of Amonkhet Champion, 3 copies of Vizier of Menagerie, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry, 4 copies of Glorybringer, and 1 copy of Samet. We'll get to the interesting stuff here, but let's talk about Amonkhet Champion and Vizier here. Amonkhet is just like another thing that just untaps your dudes so they can just exert next turn. I only wanted to play 3, it's a 4-drop. Outside of that, you know, it can't really do much else. It's just a 4/4 for 4 mana. It's very susceptible to a lot of the removal. I don't want to play the 4. It didn't feel very worth it. And Vizier, just going to give us card advantage. Basically, we're playing 29 creatures. You're bound to hit something with this. I was going to play the full 4, but it seemed a bit much for a 4-drop. But we do want to play the full 4 copies of Glorybringer. This is by far the best card in the deck. There's a reason right now it's almost like $10 on TCG Player. Just a 4/4 flying haste for 5 mana. It's just good in itself. But the Exert thing is just deal 4 damage to another creature. You know, they try to block it with a Heart of Kiran. They try to block anything that you have on your board that's 4 toughness or less. You just blow it away. And this is pretty brutal when you have an Amonkhet Crasher out, because you just make something that can't block. You blow up their other thing, and then you just swing in for like 12 and just win the game. So Glorybringer is definitely like the end game card for us here. So we got to play the full 4 copies of that. As for the 1 copy of Samet, it kind of seems out of place. Let's get to my reasoning here. Just playing the 1 because it's got the Naya colors, red, green, and white here. It's also just a good body to throw out. You know, they don't think you have anything in your hand, or maybe a Vizier has it on top. Obviously, they can see it if a Vizier is showing it on top of your library. But you can just flash it in at the end of their turn, and all of a sudden you have a 3/4 double strike Vigilance guy that can untap your other creatures if you need be, like maybe untap Glorybringer. You play Glorybringer, next turn you Samet, untap your Glorybringer, and then exert the Glorybringer again, just burning away at them. So it's definitely worth playing at least 1 of in this deck. On to the spells, playing 8. 8 spells. We're going to play 3 copies of Cast Out. It's just straight removal. We're going to play 3 copies of Prepare to Fight. The first half is probably the best. I don't think we'll ever use the second half. I hardly ever use it. Just untap a dude and give it +2/+2 and lifelink. It's just a really good combat trick. You know, You exert with a Glorybound Initiate. You hit them for 4, you lifelink. They think they can steal in some damage for a turn, and then you just untap him and and make him a 5/3 lifelink. Kill their dude and gain 5 more life. There's like a lot of ways to gain life in this deck, and Prepare to Fight, definitely worth playing. I don't know if you'll ever use the target creature you control fights another target creature, the fight half, but you know, you always have that option. And then we're going to play 2 copies of Synchronized Strike. It's just like the Prepare to Fight, except it untaps 2 guys. Maybe you have two Glorybound Initiates out, or you have an Ancrop Crasher and a Glorybound Initiate, or maybe it's late in the game, you have 2 Glorybringers out. That's happened to me before. You untap the Glorybringers, you make them 6/6 flyers, you know, block their things they're trying to attack with, kill it, and then just exert both of them again and basically just win the game next turn. So definitely some cool combat tricks here with the spells. Playing 23 lands, and that doesn't seem like a lot, especially for a deck that's playing a lot of 4 and 5 drops. However, you know, we're playing a lot of creatures, playing a lot of stuff early. We don't want to keep drawing into lands. You know, if they're playing against control and they start stabilizing your board, you don't want to be drawing into, like, land drops. So, obviously, we don't want to do that, but then you also need a balance. We're going to be playing another Cinderglade in the sideboard, just in case you do want that extra land. Maybe you're playing another aggro deck and you want to have options of playing your stuff early. We do also, remember, we have Channeler Initiate in the deck that can ramp you into stuff. So 23 lands seemed pretty good. I really didn't have any problems with mana. There's a few times I wish I could have played a Glorybringer and I had to wait a few turns before I draw a land. That only happened like 1 or 2 times, I believe. So not too bad. On the sideboard, you probably noticed we're not playing a lot of removal. So most of it's going to be here in the sideboard. We're going to be playing 2 copies of Fumigate, 2 copies of Stasis Snare, 1 more copy of Cast Out, and 3 Magma Sprays. You know, each one for its own situation. I didn't want to put Fumigate in the main deck because we're playing 29 creatures, and sometimes, and most of the times, you'll find yourself in a situation where that kind of hurts you more than it helps you. But we are going to play 2 in the sideboard. Stasis Snare is just like another Cast Out, except we can't cycle it. But it's still pretty good. Another Cast Out, obviously you can cycle it. Maybe you want to go that route. Let's get into the other stuff we're playing. I told you we're going to play 1 more Cinderglade in the sideboard. We're going to play 2 more Samut. 2 more Samut. Maybe you want to take out some Combat Celebrants and put in some Samuts. And speaking of that, we're going to play also another copy of Combat Celebrant if you want to go that way. Each one is good in its own situation. Aggro decks, Combat Celebrant is really, really good. Samut, more for control. And then we're going to play 3, for the finish off the sideboard, 3 copies of Vizier of Remedies. Just really good against green-black -1 counters and against blue-black cycling. This will just keep like things like Archfiend of Ifnir. You know, it just keeps 1/1 counters off your dudes, which will eventually, you know, your board will get tiny. Their board will get huge just with 1/1 Death Touch Snakes, which is not what we want. So we do need to definitely play 3 copies of this in the sideboard. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This is Naya Exert. I've seen a lot of different ways this deck was made. I've seen it with some gods in it. I've seen it based just around one specific card. I'm going to probably make a budget deck of this. Maybe it's just going to be red-white. I'm drawing a blank on what the card is, but it's just like Renegade Rallier, except when you exert it, not when with Revolt. So you guys might see a budget deck with that card specifically being the main center of the deck. But other than that, this is like my favorite thing to play. You know, obviously gods are going to be good, but there's not a lot of things with 4 power just by themselves. I mean, obviously you can use the ability from Ronus to do that, but our hand's not going to be, you know, 2 or 1 less. I've seen Hazoret played in this deck. Not going to do that, so I didn't see the point in playing a god. Anyways, I want to know what you guys' opinions on for this deck tech, because there is a lot of like variations of this deck out there, and this is mine, and I think it's pretty good. But I want to know what you guys think. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.